Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a question for both witnesses. You both talked about controls and monitors and evidence-based decision-making, program audits, process controls, those types of things. Can you just tell me what are the main criteria you use in terms of grant making or loan guarantees or loan making? Specifically, we'll start with Ms. Littlefield.
Thank you very much, Senator. So number one criteria is those countries and those investments that our private sector clients are asking for. So we tend to go where the markets would like us to go, where they need our support. We're open currently in about 161 countries, and that list of places where we're open for business is determined by the income level of the country, whether or not we have a bilateral investment agreement, and whether or not it's a country that's where we're prohibited from working. For example, China, Sudan are both countries where we do not work for human rights reasons. China, we've been closed ever since Tiananmen Square. So that's the eligibility. Beyond that, we look for three things. One is whether or not the project proposed is going to have a positive development impact on that country, whether the client himself is eligible as a U.S. company, whether the project is commercially viable and we're sure we can get paid back. And then lastly, I would say that certainly we make sure that that project is consistent with all of our environmental, human rights, labor, and other policies, as well as the policies that relate to ensuring that our projects have no damage to U.S. economy or jobs.
Can you quick describe some of the more typical projects that you're dealing with?
So I mentioned a few in my testimony, but I'll mention just a few more if you'd like. For example, in Togo, the West African country of Togo, which had severe energy deficits, we financed the creation of a tri-fuel power plant that tripled the amount of power that country was able to produce and enabled it to export to neighboring countries, for example. All the way at the other end of the continent, in Rwanda, we've been financing just last year a man and his wife who are horticulturalists who became interested in that country, and in the very difficult time it's having feeding its own people, they've now exported their own horticultural technologies and have set up in Rwanda and are producing new crops of bananas and pineapples that are 10 times as productive as the crops that they replaced. So that's just one's a $150 million project and one's a $3 million project.
Are these always with some private sector firm, or are there also sometimes loans or loan guarantees to governments, or?
We are required by Congress and by statute to involve the private sector in everything that we do.
Okay. Ms. Sack, what about your criteria for your grants?
Thank you very much. As I mentioned, we have a very robust strategic planning process where we annually look at where there are opportunities from the host country, the match with the U.S. Businesses, and what it is that they have the ability to provide. And I think that's very important. So the criterias, one, include will there be mutual benefit for our meeting our dual mandate of economic development and jobs here at the U.S. So we want to make sure we have both of those. The other is we want to be sure that we're looking at projects that have a reasonable likelihood of financing. They're not just pie in the sky, but from our experts in our office, that they are projects that we believe have an opportunity to be able to move forward, and we want to ensure to level the playing field for those projects. The other thing that we look at, as I indicated, was the development impact in country, because we believe that this is a good way to have a positive impact in the future with respect to the U.S. economy. And finally, we also look at whether or not there's competition from other countries. Our goal is to be able to level the playing field for U.S. businesses and what it is that we do. And it's also our goal to bring the private sector to development so that there is a return to the U.S. economy from development dollars.
Am I correct to assume that maybe your agency would be the first on the ground in a particular country with a particular opportunity, and then you'd be working, turn that over to Ms. Littlefield's organization? Is that?
Yes, we are often referred to as a SWAT team that is first on the ground to be able to do an evaluation of projects that are likely to be able to move forward with U.S. exports. Sometimes those projects move forward with OPIC, but oftentimes those projects move forward with the Export-Import Bank or the host country government or the multilaterals. So one of the things that USTDA brings is the ability to work with financing from a number of different institutions.
Okay. Then last question for Ms. Littlefield. Love the fact that we have an agency that actually makes a profit and returns money to the federal treasury, but at the same time that sends off some bells and whistles, in my head at least. Do you ever come under criticism for competing with the private sector? And would it be a legitimate concern?
So thank you for that question, Senator. It is a question because, as you say, we're one of the few agencies in the U.S. government that do generate income. But actually, no, we do not compete with the private sector. Statutorily, we don't compete with the private sector, but we also require every one of our project sponsors to represent that financing is not available in the private markets. We also, and why, when many will ask, why doesn't the private market do this if it's so attractive? And the reasons for that are quite straightforward. One is because we're able to issue long-term debt, we can do very long tenors, and many of these projects in emerging markets require quite long maturities that the banks can't do. Secondly, we've got a 40-year track record in working in these markets, and most banks don't have that. Third, most of our clients are small businesses, and small businesses, as you all know, have a very difficult time getting bank finance anywhere. So we don't compete with the private sector at all, but work closely with it. And in fact, we welcome the chance to work ourselves out of business. We like creating new markets and forging ahead. For example, we invented the political risk insurance product several decades ago, and now we're doing less and less of it as the private insurers are now coming in. So our political risk business is actually restricted to, the super risky countries like the Afghanistans and Iraqs and Haitis and South Sudans of the world. But if I may add, I think, so the private sector we do not duplicate or compete with. I hope that's clear. But more concerning is, and Ms. Zak mentioned this when talking about leveling the playing field, more concerning is the public sector, because every other G8 country, G7 country, and many others have the equivalent of OPIC in the public sector that is designed to help their businesses invest in emerging markets. But unfortunately, those other countries have agencies that are far bigger than we are, and so we're not able to give, although their economies are far smaller than the U.S. economy. Not to mention, so Europe, all the European agencies tend to be larger than we are relative to our economy, not to mention the Chinese. So it's not the private sector we're helping, it's the public sector that I worry about.
Okay, well, again, thank you for your testimony and your answers to my question. Thank you, Madam Chair.